The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
This is a quick review for Darkest Dungeons 2, since I put a little over 30 hours into the game. And what I have to say right off the back, it definitely has a unique gameplay mix of roguelike and turn-based. And of course with a little bit of difficulty, much like its previous title. And I have to say, it's most likely the first of its kind in the gaming industry of having a roguelike turn-based video game. And in this review, I will talk about some negatives and do some compares and contrasts of the previous title, Darkest Dungeon. Then I will be on the positives. So, in the first Darkest Dungeon, you start off at the hamlet where you recruit a number of heroes and you can mix and match them in your squad. So let's say you could have like 2 Helions and then a Plague Doctor and a Cleric. Or you could run a party of all 4 clerics. But in Darkest Dungeon 2, you're only stuck with only choosing one of them at a time. So there's not exactly a huge variety of different squads to mix and match through your playthrough. But I am guessing the reason they did that is just so they could still keep that roguelike element and, well, keeping the difficulty of the game as, high as possible, I should say. But when it comes down to Darkest Dungeon 1, at the Hamlet, there's various different buildings that each have their unique ways of helping you progress through the game, such as healing the stress levels of your heroes, including healing the elements, healing or I should say fixing negative traits of your heroes, and also upgrades to your weapons, armor, and skills, which there is definitely a lack of, if non-existent at all, in Darkest Dungeons 2. But the unique thing that Darkest Dungeons 2 definitely has going for it is their relationships that can be built between the heroes. But the problem that I've had through my playthroughs of Darkest Dungeons 2 is even when I have heroes actually start like each other, I have to maintain that stress level. I have to make sure it's pretty much at 0, because once that stress level reaches to max and they have that meltdown, whatever friendships that they had with one or the whole entire group of them is pretty much gone. And it starts rising into despising each other, or despising that one hero in particular. And another thing that I had issues with Darkest Dungeon 2 is the skill points. You unlock probably 1 or 2 skill points every run through, and if you want more, you have to go through routes that has challenges that allows you to unlock additional trait or 2, or maybe even 3.
Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light?
Gameplay wise, it is the same as the previous title, but the animations have gone through a visual upgrade, which I immediately noticed and I liked a lot. The control of the stagecoach is quite different, and choosing what path you choose can make or break your run through that area in particular. And the introduction of the hero shrines it shows the past or the history of the heroes you like a lot from this title or even the previous one. And as you progress through their past, you unlock new skills, which is now unlocked for them and pretty much throughout the rest of the game. But mind you, nothing else carries over if this is your first time actually wanting to go through the game. All the trinkets, items, so on and so forth is gone once you have to start a new run. And then the quick highlights I will like to put in that is definitely on the positive note of Darkest Dungeons 2 is it's the first of its kind with the turn-based roguelike elements to it. The atmosphere is still pretty much the same as the first Darkest Dungeon, which is just an atmosphere of hopelessness of wherever you go. And because of the difficulty level of this game, there is a high replayability to it, most definitely. And, you know, pretty much going back to the hero shrines is just being able to learn about the past of your favorite heroes. It's, it, I'm glad there is some kind of storytelling for the heroes. As you progress more into the game, you unlock new items, trinkets, traits, and of course, heroes, which makes it less of a burden with each run that you go through. Because when I was first playing this, and it was you only had the original 4 characters, which was the Man at Arms, the Highwayman, the Plague Doctor, and the Grave Robber. When I start losing the party members, and even when I was going to like the next inn to heal them up, I didn't have any backups at all. But of course, like I said, as you're progressing through the game, and you're unlocking more and more heroes, so if one hero or 2 or even 3 falls, and as soon as you get to that next inn, the other heroes that are on standby will fill in the seats. Another thing that I have a little bit of a gripe on is you cannot rearrange the teams. So every time, like my playthroughs I have going on previously, was I had the Jester, the Plague Doctor, and then in the front lines would be the Hellion and whoever else would be good in the front seats. But as soon as I lose one of the ones in the front, they are constantly throwing the Jester in the front lines when I actually just want him to stay in the back to do stress healing. And bear in mind, this is just a quick review since the game is still in early access. And they are still going to be making improvements on it, probably adding in more heroes, putting in new areas, so on and so forth. Because I'm pretty sure they are on it right now as we speak during when this video comes out. And it took them a long time actually to put together all the DLCs for the first Darkest Dungeon to improve upon it. So I'm pretty sure Darkest Dungeon 2 is going to be quite different than it is now. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. And if you're into roguelikes and or turn-based games, get your hands on this game. I'm very certain that you will enjoy it. A fan of the first Darkest Dungeon. There are going to be runs that you just utterly fail, and there's going to be other runs that you're going to be right there at the final boss. Something dumb happens, and all of a sudden, you're slapped right back to the beginning of your run, which has happened to me, of course. But if anything, thank you for sticking around to the end of this review. If you liked this, please do give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please do leave them down in the comments. And, well, take care.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.